Good, good. Let's go live. Let's get started. Then we're gonna roll out a couple of things here. Yeah, let's get started. Okay, so it sounds to me like you found a solution for the SQL validation stuff. What you got there?
Uh, yeah, but it's not me. It's the community. So I just did some testing. So it seems like it's a
Yeah,
valid one. So I'll maybe share a screen. Then we can take a look.
let's test
Um,
it.
okay, entire screen. This one. Okay, now you should be able to see my screen.
All right, let's do it. Okay.
Yeah, again, thanks to the community, we had very good suggestions. So I tried to implement something to try some different things, and then there are certain things that work, certain that don't work. So uh, among this, we pick two, and then now from this we should decide, okay, which direction we should go.
hmm
Uh, so first suggestion is that we take the inner query. So whatever comes from an AI that we
hmm
need to execute, we just put that into this inner query.
hmm
Uh, into this inner query, and then we just put that into this big query that's just gonna try to select something from this. So wherever is in this inner query needs to be selection. It doesn't. It
And if
cannot
it can't be
modify it
selection,
anything else.
it just barfs out. It just errors out. Nice,
Yeah, if
nice.
this happens to be a drop or
hmm
delete, it's gonna throw an SQL exception, and that's basically what we are gonna test now.
Okay,
So I
let's do it.
created a couple of statements here. Um, Select statements and those that we don't want to see in our query.
Okay.
I have a reference to a database, and we're just gonna focus on execution of the queries. So if you just trigger F5, if you want to
Okay.
debug something, okay. I don't know. Should I zoom here? Is it visible enough?
I think this is good. I think 200% is perfect for the people on their phones. I know like the vast majority of the people that view our streams are on their phones, so I think this is perfect.
Hmm.
I know it's a little bit too much for if you're the one presenting, but okay. So this is basically pulling back. Nice, nice.
Okay, so what do we? I'll try to do it like this, and then it's gonna be even smaller. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
You could zoom out a little if you want, just a little.
okay.
Yeah, let's do it this way.
Uh, or I can also make this smaller. Not that.
uh
Okay, yeah, like this, and then
If you
yeah,
touch the corners of the screen, Windows will, if you're on Windows 11, it will just
yeah.
organize these. I think that also exists in 10. Uh-huh.
Okay, I think this should be okay. So what I did here, I just selected the students from my like data test data database.
hmm
So we see that we have three students there with certain constellations. So with all the data that we need. Uh, what we are.
What if you
Mhm.
have a selected that does an insert internally, if that's possible? Do you think it would barf out?
Uh,
Finish your demo first. Don't worry about my
mhm.
questions. We'll get to the
Okay.
bottom of it. This one series. We're going into two threads, like you may have seen. You'll see like there is the AI processing service and the SQL processing service. This is a SQL processing service session. So please go ahead, and we'll circle back on questions if time allows.
Mhm.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so this is just the state of the database at the moment. Now we are we are gonna execute this inner query, which is trying to create the table.
hmm hmm
So what we want to avoid is any changes in our database. We just want to allow only queries, only selection to happen.
That's right. That's right.
So how this works? Let's first, for this, we can go into example. So this inner query is now create table. So it tries
hmm
to create DBO community with some primary key with
hmm
community ID and community name. Okay.
hmm Hmm.
And then what we do, we wrap that into this select statement here.
So it doesn't
So this,
impact the actual database, basically.
yeah, that's our guess, like what we want to prove here.
Yep.
So what this does, it selects something from the inner query. So
Hmm.
this then it expects that this returns something. So it
Hmm.
selects something, doesn't do any changes. And then this is just an alias, like if you want,
Hmm.
yeah. And then we execute that query. And this is execution result, and I'm just making it beautiful so that
Yep.
you can see
Yep.
what's exactly happening here. So
Yep.
that's what happens for all these queries. We basically take this inner query, put it into the outer bigger query, and then we execute that and get the results, nothing else. So now we are trying to execute with the inner query, which does creation of the table. We don't want to let that happen. So if we execute this, so if we go here, execute query, and let's just, this is what we get uh,
An
from
error.
a database.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it basically throws an exception, but let's go a bit here. So what I do, I execute a query, and then I just write line what the message from the exception is instead of throwing it and so on. This is
Perfect.
just for testing purpose, of course. Don't do this at home.
That's right. Don't try this at home. That's right.
On production, I suppose. Okay. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So basically, that's a compilation error, and we got SQL exception, right? And
It's
it says that
perfect.
there is incorrect syntax. So it expects to get here selection, but it has
It's
create
perfect.
table.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so this is one example. Now we can go into the other. So then so we try to create a community and just to verify that communities should not exist.
Hmm.
So invalid object DBA community. So I tried to select communities, but there is nothing there because we
Hmm.
didn't let it save anything. Then we are trying to insert student. So that's the other one here. Insert student with the ID of 995 and so on. So we try to insert, and then again we have an exception.
That's right.
And if we try to select that student from the database to just check whether it exists, we selected everything just to be
Yeah.
sure, and then we have the same as before. So nothing was added. And then so on. We are now going to try to update it and then select student with this ID. So we try to update to set
Hmm.
the first name to triple X, but first name is not triple X after
Hmm.
our selection here.
Hmm. Hmm.
And also delete and also drop and so on. Like it's basically behaving the same thing, the same way.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So,
Yeah.
okay. So with that being said, um, does this require any level of permissioning? Like if you just have read access, that should be enough for you to run a query in that format, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also.
Yeah. That should be good. I think for you to productionize this, it will be three things, right? So you're checking if the query that's coming in is structurally valid. That means it's not null, empty, or white space. And then
Hmm.
logically valid, meaning that it, it it starts with select of some sort, but also it doesn't contain drop table or insert into or any of that or alter table or anything. So these two particular keywords, it doesn't contain any of that. And then the last one, which when you fire it up, external validation, you fire it up to the database, and then the
Hmm.
database basically says, well, I'm not going to execute that query. It's harmful. I love this idea. I think it's wonderful. I don't know if other storage systems will support the same fashion. I mean, technically they're 98% the same, like Postgres versus SQL versus MariaDB from MySQL. They're not really that much different. There's slight changes in the keywords, but it's not that much. It's like speaking to someone from Scotland versus someone from Ireland versus someone from England. They're pretty much saying the same things, but they're using different keywords. They're using some different terminology, right? I have to admit though,
Hmm.
sometimes it's very weird. Like in Ireland, I think they say, he got the list, and he got the list in every other English speaking country, means that you just got the list, except in Ireland, I think it basically means that you're going for a grocery shopping. So I guess that's just or bangayui or some crazy stuff like that. So anyway, so okay, this is
There,
fantastic. I loved
there is
it.
another thing. I mean,
Uh-huh,
also you mentioned this logical validation, right? The
uh-huh,
second in
uh-huh,
type of
uh-huh,
validation. So
uh-huh,
there was another suggestion. So if you go here,
uh-huh.
let's just keep select students just to be sure. And then if we try to debug again, okay, so we selected students again, and then there is another suggestion which basically uses some kind of Alexa or tokenizer. Basically,
Mhm,
it goes through the string and then classifies these strings that we have inside as in its own fashion, right? So if you go
mhm.
here, uh, luckily there is built-in parser,
Uh-huh,
SQL parser
uh-huh,
in .NET, so we can just use that one. And
uh-huh.
then what it does, so this is inner query that you want to execute. This is drop table dbo student, and then I want to tokenize that. So it's parsing the result, the query, and then it can also, if there are errors, it can also produce some list of errors. Like we can see that later, but
This is an external library, right? That you're using here, right?
it's built in .NET library.
Oh, really? Oh, I did not know that. It's just called parser. Does it
Oh,
come
was
from?
it with? Oh, it's Nougat. Yeah, it's Nougat.
It's NuGet, right? Now, I'd be surprised.
Okay.
Um, if it is an external library, it won't be that easy for you to use it directly without abstraction in your foundation service, just so you're aware, which
Hmm.
means that you're gonna either have to have a completely different service, or you could somehow lawyer your way into convincing us that it's a utility broker, not an entity broker, which is quite a hard sale because it's obviously a part of your core business logic. But then some people might argue it's just like a daytime broker, and you're basically just calling it to verify, certain things. Either way, I wouldn't have a heartburn if you called it a utility broker. Is this a viable route to take for logical validations though? Like you're basically, how does it detect? Like this is a tokenizer, right? So you're basically breaking that into
Yeah, I
into
mean this is
pieces.
just an idea, and then now we can see whether we can utilize this somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe when we are jumping from MS SQL to some other MySQL or something else, then we can migrate to things like this. Maybe it's a bit more complex, but
Mm.
it can help us. I mean, what it does, it goes to the whole query and then basically assigns this string some meaning, right?
Can you open up this
So
object that you're hovering over? This token. Open it up.
mhm,
That
this
one.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
yeah.
yeah,
Go
every
ahead.
token has its own location, an ID, and what's important for us is this type token drop.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Uh, so how if we want to use it, how we would use it? Basically, we would select all the tokens
Mm-hmm.
here, and then here we just go through the tokens. Okay, if I'm just gonna print the tokens, so it prints it has tokens like this as we saw there,
Mm-hmm.
and then there is some kind of enum, right,
Mm-hmm.
that contains all the tokens. So we can mark this as invalid tokens, like
Mm-hmm.
delete, drop, insert, and so on. And then if token type is, this is token type, is one of the invalid ones, forbidden ones, that the ones that we don't want to see,
Mm-hmm.
in that case we can throw some kind of validation exception.
I love it. But can you fool it into thinking that, like, if you say select drop from some table, would it call drop a drop
Okay,
token?
yeah, let's play a bit.
Let's try.
Um, Okay, so we have inner query. Okay.
Quick question. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Omar.
Mhm.
Hi. So, what is the difference between this parser way of doing things and just, converting the whole query into lowercase and finding those token? Because here we had to like find if one of these specific tokens exist. What if we just do string search for them? It's the same, right?
I mean,
I
you're
mean,
gonna go ahead, Mo.
no, go ahead.
I mean, you have to go and basically, um, you're basically gonna have to parse every single character in your string and find the separator. And what do you consider a token and what you don't? Like you see how it says Lex white, right? Lex white meaning this is a an empty space or something to that effect, and it doesn't matter how many of these do you have. You would have to write a little bit of logic for it, but it's not impossible to write by hand. That's for sure. I don't even know, Omar, if we're gonna use it yet, but let's see if it can catch. If it catches this part that I was just talking to Milan about, that would be wild. That would be if it can say, wait, this is not a token, this is a thing, some other thing. Let's just find out. Let's see what it does. And Milan, this is not specific to SQL, right? This is just a parser, a generic parser, isn't it?
uh, yeah, I'm not sure about it.
Okay,
I mean, it's yeah.
let's try it.
Okay. Okay, let's go here. So we have tricky query which has drop inside. If we parse the results and get the tokens, we have drop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see, it's
here.
calling it token drop.
it's
So
it's
it's yeah,
stupid.
you can
Okay.
yeah, it's dumb. It'll just look, it's useful for its thing, meaning that it tokenizes a string for you, which is great, but it's not smart enough to know based
Mm,
on positioning. That's where the magic is. You know what I mean? Like if it says if a select comes before drop, then this is not really the command. This is something else. And I'm almost certain that there's a SQL parser out there in .NET. Someone out there. We're not really pushing something wild in terms of scanning or parsing strings. I'm pretty sure someone out there needed that, and they had to do it at some point in time. Okay. What I'm thinking is there must be something out there. Let me take your screen for a second. Let's just
mhm.
do a quick wild search for truth, and let's see if that actually holds any water. So let me go back here. Let me go into this, and let's just go to NuGet.org and let's out, type in SQL parser, something like that. There you go, from Microsoft, SQL parser.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm using.
That's the one that you're using, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
This assembly provide basic syntax. Yeah, basic. Give emphasis on that one. Syntax parsing and binding for T-SQL language for many versions and editions. So that's one. What does this one offer? Library for parsing SQL Server T-SQL scripts. But what do you do though? Full T-SQL token implementation streaming, tokenizer for parsing scripts into tokens, returns tokens with type characters, comments, that's what you want, my friend. This here, right here. Try this one, Milan. Try the T-SQL dot parser. If that one gives you these identifiers, we got our solution right there.
Okay, entire screen. It's laggy. Okay. So
It's called tsql.parse. It has about over 500,000 downloads, so it must be right. So let's see what it does. This looks very, very, very promising.
mhm.
Let's see here. I hope it works. I don't know if you're on .NET 8 or 7. I hope it doesn't give you a hard time, but let's just see what it does.
Let's see. Um,
Are you having fun? As long as you're having fun. I'm having fun. I hope you are.
I'm
with all
always
this
having.
with all this exploration. It's like an ongoing all year long hackathon, right, Omar? You know the I don't know, Milan, if you're familiar with hackathons, but you know
Uh-huh.
Microsoft and other big companies, they do these hackathons every now and then where people just participate and build something they're excited about. Except ours is just all year long, all day, every day. We're just going. Let's see. Let's see what that does.
Um, okay. Yeah, it's a bit laggy here. GitHub.
His I don't know if it. Are you looking for the package or looking for how to use it?
How to use it? Yeah.
Oh, how to use it? Let's just break things. When do we
Oh.
ever read manuals? Let's just. You know
I
what I
do.
do? I just call the namespace and see what comes out.
Okay.
If it's
Okay.
intuitive enough. So just type in T-SQL. Yeah, there you go. Dot
Okay.
core. Is that the right library? Dot core.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. And then we basically SQL script analyzer. I'm assuming. See, you're just gonna have to, and then put a variable there.
Okay. Oh.
No,
Oh.
no, I mean it is. This
Yeah.
is the type. Take away that
Yeah.
red debugging thing. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
If you just put in, yeah, put in S or X, whatever, analyzer, sure, and then type in new, see if it will new up. Yeah, there you go. Open close parens. What does it take as parameters? Does it take any parameters? There you go. Analyze SQL text async. There you go, my man. I don't know why it's asynchronous. I'd love to understand, but
Exactly. Yeah.
why is it asynchronous? What is he doing? He's not sending our information to a remote server, is he?
let's let's see what it does.
You're gonna have to.
Okay.
Are you calling
This
it
is
from the
the
main? You're gonna have to await it. Yeah, nice. Let's do that. Um, yeah, you could actually make your
oh,
main asynchronous. That's pretty cool. That's new. That happened, I think, in .NET 6 or something like that. That was wild. All right, let's do it.
it's ending to an AI.
We're on the internet, right? You gotta troll people a little bit. You know, that's what makes it interesting. I do, however, think this project's pretty cool. Okay, so let's see here.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Let's see what's the result. Uh, okay. Here's
Incorrect
parsing
syntax.
exception.
Yeah,
Correct
it's
syntax near select. Yeah. Okay, let's.
what is the thing that you're calling? Oh, why is
I
it? Oh,
guess.
maybe that's why. Nice, nice. Let's do it. Let's try again.
Okay.
Just pull it back. I guess you could just recompile and
Yeah.
do it.
Okay. So result.
That won't work because you have to still read the variable again. So you're gonna have to go all the way to tricky query.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Okay. Parsing results.
Okay.
Okay. What do we have here? Table name
Operation
default
type select.
student.
Yeah. Yeah.
Select. Parsing results. What? Column parsing
Where's the
results.
column?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, but if this says operation type select, I'm very excited about this. This is actually this is very promising. Now let's try to be tricky there and do a and just slide in an insert into a subquery into that query. What would that look like?
So what you want to do is this query here, or
No, no, I want to do a select. It looks like
okay, okay,
uh,
like this, and then here you want to
mm,
insert. Oh, uh,
insert into, yeah, whatever.
It doesn't matter, huh?
Yeah,
Nothing
let's run
turns
it
out.
this way and see what happens. It should error out. It should say this is invalid or something crazy like that.
Okay, so result incorrect syntax. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Do you need to say values? Yeah. Yeah, just put one and then Milan or something.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't know what I have there,
Yeah, it
so
doesn't know that's true. Uh, a nested insert.
yeah, that's basically the exception that we also get from SQL Server.
Oh, this is perfect, my man. This is all localized. I love it. I love it. See, you can never run out of ideas and solutions. We thought we had a solution, and then we just talk it out, just talk it out loud. And so this is much better than having to send, because this requires no permissioning and it doesn't rely on the external resource in any way, shape, or form. But this, if you're gonna use this, you might probably need to put it behind a broker and maybe a foundation service. I don't know, but maybe you need to put it behind a broker at least.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some other ways of testing this library, whether
Mhm.
it works for us in this.
But like we kind of brought the parser from SQL into here, like from SQL Server into our code.
Yeah, which is
Mm-hmm.
much better than sending the
Yeah,
command over the wire, right?
Mm.
I'm just thinking like that would be more updated most of the time than a library that someone is maintaining. Like,
I mean, how likely it is to change, and we really don't care about that. Like, I mean, Dino SQL Server has 41,000 errors. 41,000 errors that you can get. Not 41, not 4,100, 41,000, right? I did the stupid mistake of trying to normalize and turn every SQL error into an actual exception, and that would be a lifetime worth of work just to kind of cover up all 41,000, especially that they're being changed on daily basis. A system is maintained by a whole bunch of people and an entire team and all that. Um, but I still, what we really want to catch in here is just the commands. What kind of operation is this? And if I can catch that before I let the command fire off to the database, that's the best optimum solution that we
Mm.
have. So we don't have to actually execute on SQL Server before we determine that this query is valid or invalid, right? I always tell people this: if you want to think about optimization, think about every external call that it will cost you $1,000. Would you spend $1,000 every time you do an external call? What would you do before you fire out that external call? That's exactly
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing here, right? So Milan, this sounds like a great idea. I think that's what Felipe was going for, by the way. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
he was trying to tell
Thanks,
us
Felipe.
he
Mm.
loves data. He loves data. So, do you know he wrote a standard compliant program in R? R is a data language, so you should see it. It's wild. It's actually beautiful. It's crazy how when you build standard compliant systems, it doesn't matter what programming language you're writing it with. Even if you've never seen this programming language, if it follows the standard, you can understand that program, right? Even if you've never seen that language before. I guess except for BF, Brain F. Brain F is a programming language that's all using. Have you ever seen that one, Milan? Have you ever seen Brain F before as a programming
No.
language? Let me show you. It's hilarious. Um, so this is an actual programming language. You can't make this up. This is a real programming language. And this is the syntax of the language. You can't use anything other than larger than, lesser than, plus, minus. And here's a program written in BF. This is an actual program. I don't care. I don't care what kind of standard compliance system you want to build. If you build it in this, we can't be friends anymore. You need serious, medical attention. Because why would you do that? I think the person who built this actually is just trying to kind of show training his brain, because there are these kind of engineers out there that just like to, experiment with different ideas and different, patterns and whatnot. But in general, yeah, this is a program. So he set still 0 to 8, and he's translating each and every one of these. Brother got time. Like, look, that's the actual syntax. That's hello world for you. Here's hello world. What do you think? What do you think about that, Omar? Do you like this one?
Would be good, like for alien communications.
Actually, what if I asked Bard, you know, what is this? Let's just see what Bard says about this. Is this a program? If I told you that this is a programming language, can you translate what it means?
I think give it an example from that page and tell it what it does, and maybe it can actually extrapolate things.
Let's try. So if I say, okay, it's gonna die on me. Actually, let me try Chat GPT first, and then if that one doesn't work, then we can switch over. I agree. So let's see here. Yeah, there you go. Chat GPT. The string of characters provided appear to, which is an esoteric programming language known for its minimalistic design. Yeah, yeah. OpenAI is much stronger than Bard in so many different ways. But um, code will output the character hello world. See how wild this is? That's pretty cool.
Mm.
So now the real question is, can you write a program in the same language that calls a database?
Interesting. Let's see if it actually uh, got that snippet from the internet.
Yeah, I stole it from the internet.
Yeah,
Of course it
yeah.
did.
I know, but like without understanding it, it just
Yep.
got meaning. The meaning.
And
Yeah.
you're a program in the same language that finds that prints only the first. I'm not trying to ask it something that's not on the internet. The first letter of of every name in a list of names. Oh my God. Read input, assuming each name is terminated by a new line. Start loop. Decrement the value. Move to the next memory. Oh my God.
Are you gonna test it?
Actually, let's go this way. Write a unit test for this code you just produced. I don't believe it. I think it's hallucinating. Anyway. Anyway, I think that's very cool. So anyway, just going back to this, I think we have a good solution. If you rely on this library, just put it behind a broker.
Mhm.
And I know some people are gonna chew me alive for this, but if you use it as a utility broker that kind of give you back feedback about what this operation is and whether this operation is valid or not, I'm good. That should be good enough. And then we still gonna have to handle the sequel. So I think your POC is done. You should just move on to productionization. You
Mhm.
know what the next step would be in terms of productionization? Like that's the hacky part of it. Let's go and just try different things and see what works. That's great. It worked.
Mhm.
The next step to this would be really just kind of building the actual processing service, and that would be it. What do you think, Milan?
But
You mean the
okay.
orchestration service, right?
Oh,
But
orchestration. That's right. Mm.
so we have this foundation service that I'm finishing up, and then after that, processing is gonna do the same thing, right? It's just gonna call a foundation service.
Yes, I mean, from a design standpoint, in your situation, you would need something like this. A you would need a couple of brokers. This is a Dapper broker. Same thing goes here. That's a Dapper broker. And then you have one that, what did we say? There's one that reads and one that, um, so this one is
Executes the query.
database, query, SQL query execution service, SQL query service, right? So that talks to
Mhm.
Dapper. We already know that. And then also you have SQL
Metadata table
information,
information. Yeah.
yeah, metadata, sure,
Yes.
service. So this will pull the details. The third one would be just really your SQL validation service. And that would be sitting behind that library that you just discovered, right? And if that's the case, then we need an orchestration service setting up in here. So you wouldn't really need a processing service. You just need an orchestration service that would basically go and do that for you.
Hmm.
Unless any of these layers requires a processing service, then you're gonna have to even out. So this would be SQL orchestration service, something like that.
So you're saying that one foundation service can have only one broker.
It could have only one entity broker, but any number of utility brokers. A utility broker is a broker that doesn't play a crucial role in the business logic, like a date time broker or a logging broker. These are called
Uh-huh.
utility brokers. Entity brokers are things that does something fundamentally important to um, to the actual service, like it's doing something, I don't know. I mean, again, you could truly really argue that this library that you just pulled in falls into a utility, but is it
Mhm.
really a utility when it's being used by only one particular foundation service for one particular purpose and it cannot be used anywhere else? Sounds like domain to me, right?
Mhm.
But I could be convinced either way. Like I wouldn't fight you too hard on that one, right? Now given I don't even know that orchestration would be even your best bet here because okay, let's just consider for all intents and purposes that you didn't do a that you went with a broker that is there's a Dapper broker and then you went with another broker that's just a utility broker which is the SQL validation broker. Just for
Mhm.
the sake of argument, right? So this is SQL tokenizer or parser broker, right? Okay, let's just say that, right? And then to level up, you're going to have to kind of put two processing services on top of this because what's really going to happen is that on the SQL side, sorry, on the AI side, you have AI processing service. That's the stuff that Omar, Kailu, and I have been working on. And then you have AI service in here. And this is sitting over here. I think this is probably much more balanced solution to me. And this is here, open AI broker, like that. So now all you need really to complete this library is to stitch those together. So the request is gonna come in. We're gonna send it to AI. AI is gonna give us back the SQL. Let's just call this entity intelligence orchestration service, right? So that's our structure. And then you have your exposure layer. Let's just call it entity intelligence client, right? So that client is basically hitting the orchestration service, right? The orchestration service is going and trying to get a SQL query from OpenAI, and then you're sending it down to, actually, no, it's not like that. You basically go this route first. So that's route one. You go get the metadata,
Mhm.
right? And then you go back and then you go and say, given that metadata, go and give me the the query, and then you take that query, you validate it, and you execute it. That would be the last piece left in that system. And then you return the results. That would be the library basically. And you
Mhm.
basically did almost 66, you did almost 70% of that work just by yourself. I mean the community is chiming in, but you're just this is the stuff that's in the stuff that's in um, uh, Azure color, that's all you. You're doing all that here.
I mean, it's us always. Yeah,
Yep.
we are doing it together, but yeah.
You're spearheading it. You're spearheading it. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Like if it
Okay.
fails, I'll blame you. I'll just go tell people it's this
No.
guy. Anyway, just going back to the actual structure of things, I'm okay. I am okay with that. So actually, this is a lighter green because this is a, and then this is a darker green in here. All of this is a darker green, and then this is a blue because that's the exposure layer. If we do it this way, this library is done, and then we go build that Maui application that can run in the browser, but can also run as a desktop or a mobile app. So people could actually talk to their databases through actual voice or just through commands. So they're chatting with their database. We can call our application ChatDB or Chat with DB or Chat SQL. What it basically does, you're really chatting with your SQL server instead of trying to
Mhm.
kind of think about, even for us as software engineers, just let me tell you this, some of these queries, you need to kind of scratch your head and think about it for a second, right? Like let me tell you, let me ask you guys this. Just think about this off the top. If I tell you write me a SQL query right now, and that SQL query would only produce records for students that have A in their first names and A at the very end of their last name. So A at the beginning of their first name and A at the end of their last name. You would think about it a little bit. You would probably use like or something like that. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, right? What if I go and tell you, give me only names that have, here's one for you. What if I tell everyone here, and everyone here played with SQL at some point, I mean, we're playing with SQL right now. What if I tell you, write me a SQL query right now, right? Where that SQL query gives me only names that have 7 characters. There you go, right? But if I say that, I mean, why do I need to think about that? If I go over here and just tell Chat GPT, that's the beauty of this. If I go back here and say, hey, Chat GPT, it's not that you can't figure it out. It's just faster that you let AI kind of take care of it. So you don't, so you have to focus. So if I say, write me a SQL query where it can only return first names from students table where the first name is exactly 7 characters. How fast this thing is. I didn't know there's a thing called links, right? So if I just chat with it and just solve this problem for me so I can focus on bigger things. Like take that at scale. Like if I tell you all do this right now, you're gonna have to go Google, try things out, and maybe fail and then come back. It'll take you around, I don't know, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And here it took me 10 seconds. Yeah, and of course Ron knows it off the top. Okay, Ron, how about this, Ron? Let me ask you this, Ron. Okay, so Ron is saying that's easy. I know there's someone out there will be like, I get it. That's not a problem. Okay, let me make things a little bit more interesting. Okay, how about this? I want
Maybe
you.
ask AI, an AI. Give me a complex query. And then.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Uh, give me one complex query for a friend of mine, Ron, who shows off his amazing abilities in SQL.
And explain what it does, maybe, so that we know what. Oh, okay, it does. It does do that.
What does this? The query involves the following. The query provides a comprehensive overview of students' enrollments, courses, and performances while demonstrating. I don't know what it did there. It did a
It
couple of
joins.
joins. No, no, Ron would be able to figure this one out. No, that's easy. That's even easy to me, you know. Ron says, so how will it deal with MySQL to length? Yeah, that's the thing, Ron. Like the first release is Microsoft SQL specific, but then we're gonna have to adjust the library. Like we would basically do specific releases for different versions of databases. So it's just first pass for SQL Server, but we can expand. It depends on adaptation, or it depends when I need it, really. Will the type of SQL be part of the prompt? Yes, it has to be. That's a great point. We need to update it to say this is a T-SQL. Sometimes we may even need to tell it it's a T-SQL version X, because some versions it's very slight changes, which is not really that big, but it's still there and it's annoying when you run into it. That's for sure, right? Okay, Ron, how do you produce? Why don't you write a SQL query that gives me tables that have three columns with A in the name of that column? I'll wait. And I'll write it out here. Write a SQL query that will produce only tables with three columns exactly with a. I'll ask ChatGPT. There you go. With with letter A in the column name. If it doesn't call sys in here, I know it's doing it wrong. Oh, table, select table name information schema or table name public and column name like A, group by, yeah, this looks like a good solution.
Hmm.
Let's test it because we have 2 minutes and I'm having fun. So SQL Studio, let's go this way. I don't know if it will work because I didn't tell it it's T-SQL, but it could work. It could. It could work. It's a possibility. Let's go over here. See, that's where it gets interesting, right? That's where AI gets the upper hand, right? You can figure it out. I have no doubt. It's just about whether whether that's actually something that it's worth investing our time into it or not, right? I don't know. Let me run this. So this says there are no tables with that, which is true. Now, if I look at the students' assignments table, it has subject and student ID. And this one here has ID and name. So let's just say it has S in it, and it needs to have two columns with that amount. And if I run this, it doesn't work. Why? Um, it basically says it needs to have
Because it has
S.
three. It has three. This one has three columns.
Table schema maybe, huh? Where table schema equals public.
Let me take away this table schema thing. It's stupid. Let's just say we're column name like, right? And then table name is this. There you go, student assignments. That's right, Milan. Good catch. Right? So that it works. It's so quick. Did you see how fast it could produce a query like that? It's wild. It still needs tuning, but how go ask your favorite DBA about this. They'll scratch their head for at least 10 minutes before they be like, I think it'll work this way. Right? That's where
Hmm.
AI gets the upper hand. Mahmoud says, can we use view and SP descriptions to discover relationships between tables? Or what's the plan to discover relationships? That's a good point, Mahmoud. I don't
Actually,
know yet.
I wanted to, Mahmoud,
Uh,
like I wanted to ask a very similar thing because I'm facing this similar issues at work, and there is limitations. Like first of all, our prompt doesn't take care of relationships right now, and if you have foreign keys that have same name between tables, it will
mhm,
get confused. It will get confused. So
mhm.
maybe we should provide it in the data that we send in the prompt that this table has a relate one-to-many with that table on this field. Okay, so it knows exactly what is the relationship.
I mean,
Right.
basically, when I created a broker at the beginning, I created a full broker with the relationships and everything else with the metadata. So we had the relationships, so we can easily migrate to that.
We can always tell
So
AI about these relationships. It's not like it's
Yeah.
information that we can't use. It's sorry, it's not like it's information that we can't retrieve. And it's not like it's information that we can't teach the database. I think there's a big advantage there. We will try it. It's going to be really fun. I promise you, before you know it, it will be something that you will pull up at work so you can get some information from a database because you just don't have the mind capacity to go think about a query that does whatever crazy thing the PM is asking you to come up with that day. Anyway, we are a little bit over time. Thank you all. I think we have a direction here, and just wanted to thank the community, for their continuous contributions. Gregory, Felipe, Omar, everybody really getting involved into this. This is the beauty of this. We're having fun, but we're building something truly useful for us, and everybody else. Thank you all for watching. See you tomorrow. Take care.